Scientology, the religion that offers us endless conversation material every time a new documentary comes out. Most of the knowledge of this secretive sect comes from someone who stole a Jeep and drove through a fence to escape from it. Whether you're Team Leah Remini or Team Tom Cruise, there's an interesting deep divide. So we at ALUX took a wander through the interwebs to compile some of the more interesting facts about Scientology. Welcome to ALUX.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out. Number 1. Scientology's founder was a science fiction writer. Dianetics is the basis of Scientology. It originated from a self-help book penned by its founder, Hubbard, in 1950. When it hit the shelves, it became a bestseller. The original book seemed like it was an academic style written as a joke, with all kinds of rambling footnotes that were more opinion than substantiated findings. It appeared to be written in a quirky, joking style. But the content itself was of a serious nature, and the claims, extraordinary. L. Ron Hubbard claimed that Dianetics had identified the source of self-destructive behavior. It was the reactive mind. This was apparently a kind of data bank that is filled with traumatic memories called engrams, the source of nightmares, insecurities, irrational fears, and psychosomatic illnesses. All this sounds okay, right, if you think someone with a medical and preferably a psychology degree wrote it. But L. Ron Hubbard was a science fiction writer who holds the Guinness World Record for most published works by one author. Not really someone you would consider taking life-changing advice from, right? But their website claims to have 4.4 million new members a year. Critics place that figure closer to 25 to 55,000 members. If you don't know much about Scientology, here is a very basic explanation, but keep watching, it'll all be revealed, plus the juicy bits we dug up. Scientology identifies people's flaws and then offers Dianetics as a method to ascend to the upper peaks of Scientology. To ascend, you need to become clear, because this means you're adaptable to and able to change your environment. A clear person has high ethical and moral standards and can seek and experience pleasure far greater than others. Their personality is heightened, and they're creative and constructive, less susceptible to illness, stress, and compulsions, well, according to L. Ron Hubbard. Once you reach clear, the next level is operating thetan, or OT, which has another 8 levels. This is someone who can handle challenges without using their body or physical means. That's mind rays, Kyle. Number 2. The founder of Scientology once told his wife he murdered their child. L. Ron Hubbard is a controversial figure. He displayed some extreme paranoia and abusive tendencies, which seem to have carried through to his church values. He kidnapped his daughter when his second wife threatened to leave him. He reportedly called his wife and told her that he had killed their daughter. Thankfully, he called back a while later and told her it had been a lie and the child was still alive. Talk about a sick joke. Number 3. Members are pressured to talk about their sex lives. Dianetics works by draining the engrams of painful, damaging qualities and eliminate the reactive mind, leaving a person clear. To get to the clear goal, Scientologists have to go through auditing. This is where the leaders ask them personal questions about their lives, and those questions get pretty personal and explicit. Forcing people to reveal this kind of intel makes them pretty exposed to being exploited or blackmailed, but more on the cult-like practices later. Number 4. Scientologists believe mental illness doesn't exist. L. Ron Hubbard saw psychiatrists as evil, but he didn't start out that way. Initially, he offered his Dianetics findings to the American Psychiatric Association and the American Medical Association, but his work was rejected as unscientific and unplausible. He took great exception to this and went on to turn away from all psychiatry and psychology practices. He portrayed them as demonic competitors to his pure science. If you're keen to learn some more about the richest religions in the world, be sure to watch our video, The Top 10 Richest Religious Organizations. Number 5. The dark history of its leader, David Miscavige. When L. Ron Hubbard died, there was a void to be filled in the church. 2 weeks after his death, David Miscavige stepped into the position. At the time, he was only 25 years old. In his first presentation, he claimed that Hubbard had reached a higher level of operating Thetan and had discarded his body he had used in this lifetime and is now done with the physical body. Those who have left Scientology are clear that it is dangerous to cross Miscavige. He is known to fly into a rage and assault members. Repeat beatings and abuse are reported by many defectors. A defector, Amy Scobie, said that nobody challenged the abuse because people were terrified of Miscavige. The greatest fear of a member is expulsion. As Scobie says, you don't have any money, you don't have any job experience, you don't have anything, and he could put you on the streets and ruin you. That is a lot for a person to lord over others. And anyone who does stand up to the leadership is given the scarlet letters SP and then punished with manual labor for being beaten and reporting it. And regular members aren't the only ones who fear Miscavige. If he has a problem with you, he can make those closest to you disappear. But more on that soon. Number 6. The church tried to censor Wikipedia. Scientology is like the Men in Black. They go around erasing any mention of their organization that could be categorized as untoward. They try to repress any comment or coverage from them in the media or internet. Wikipedia, the online community encyclopedia, had to ban any organization affiliated to Scientology from editing its articles for the fear of the church removing information that is of a critical nature to the public. If you'd like to really go into depth on Scientology, a good read is Scientology, The Fundamentals of Thought, The Theory and Practice of Scientology for Beginners, which you can find on Audible. Number 7. It's considered a cult. In 1985, thanks to a court case, the world was finally exposed to the crazy world of the scriptures of L. Ron Hubbard. The outside world heard about the despotic ruler named Xenu, leader of the Confederation of 90 Planets. Because of overpopulation 75 million years ago, Xenu was forced to take radical measures, like exploding volcanoes full of the extra population. It worked in principle and destroyed the people, but freed their spirits, called Thetans, which he says attached themselves to one another in clusters. Those spirit clusters were, quote, trapped in a compound of frozen alcohol and glycol, then, quote, implanted with the seed of deviant behavior. When people die, these clusters attach to other humans and keep perpetuating themselves. There's a lot to this. We're not able to unpack it all for obvious reasons, but it's pretty crazy. One has to be pretty manipulated to believe that pouring more and more money into this organization to undergo courses will free you from 75-million-year-old volcano ghosts. On the basis of the definition in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, a cult is defined as a religion regarded as unorthodox or spurious, showing great devotion to a person, idea, object, movement, or work. So we're gonna say it, it all adds up to cult. Number 8. It costs a fortune. One of the most outspoken ex-members is actor Leah Remini. She's written and featured in many TV series and interviews about her experience. Remini claims she spent millions during her 35 years in the church. She opens up about the costs involved in Scientology, and the figures will make your head spin. The introductory courses are $35, which according to Remini are a complete scam to get people through the door, and don't really count toward anything anyway. The 12 books that are prescribed reading cost upwards of $4,000 a set, and you're encouraged to upgrade every set every time there's an update to the writings. Then there are the DVDs, audio, and other learning materials with a hefty price tag. The Bridge to Total Freedom is the list of courses required to reach spiritual actualization. This kind of course costs about $650 each, but the real cost is the time commitment to study from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Then Scientologists must attend auditing, coughing up $800 an hour for the church's version of therapy. Then even once you reach the bridge, the course and book buying doesn't end. According to Remini, they constantly invent new things. Scientology claims there have been changes, or a mistake was made when a member was taking the course, so the course needs to be repeated at their own expense. And if a member wants to complete the bridge, members allegedly have to live on a ship called the Freewinds for as long as the church deems necessary. Number 9. Even Jesus didn't make the cut, according to Scientology. According to Scientologist standards, key religious deities like Buddha or Jesus weren't up to standard if Dianetics were the plumb line. According to a Scientology magazine published in 1959, neither Lord Buddha nor Jesus Christ were operating thetans. They were just a shade above clear. Number 10. Scientology's top leaders often disappear. Not even David Miscavige's wife is spared his wrath. According to investigative journalism reports, Shelley Miscavige disappeared under really unusual circumstances, and her whereabouts remain unknown. In June 2006, Miscavige went away from Goldbase. While he was away, Shelley filled some job vacancies without his permission. According to witnesses, this enraged him upon his return. She hasn't been seen since. Number 11. Scientology is constantly preparing for the apocalypse. If the apocalypse comes, Scientologists are ready. They've been preparing secret bunkers to shelter in place for many years. And what's a nuclear-proof shelter without a library-sized vault housing footage of their Lord and Savior, Hubbard? Number 12. Goldbase Freeloaders tab. Goldbase is a Sea Org camp in Southern California. It houses around 800 Scientologists and the office of Miscavige. They have to pledge 1 billion years of service to Scientology in exchange for board and lodging and counseling. They each receive a $50 a week stipend. One ex-Sea Org member of 19 years, Janella Webster, tells how it wasn't common for this measly wage to be docked as low as $13 a week just for failing to meet production quotas or skipping scripture study sessions. The church states that anyone can leave whenever they want, except for that pesky billion-year agreement, of course. So when you do leave, quit, or escape Goldbase, they receive a whopping bill for their time there. It's known as the Freeloaders tab, and it lists the cost of room, board, counseling, and other services received while at Goldbase. And it can easily exceed $100,000. If you fail to pay, you can't leave in good standing. It's used as a way for the church to force defectors to come back because they have no other option as grown adults with no worldly skills and a huge debt to pay. Number 13. The View from the Top. On the other side of the tracks from the lowly Sea Org members, the top brass get paid very well. Apparently, members like Tom Cruise and David Miscavige live in the laps of luxury, but the FBI is on their tails because the law in the US prohibits tax-exempt organizations' leaders to enjoy compensations of perks. They call the practice inurement, and when you hear of Miscavige's perks, you'd agree he's certainly inured at inurement. Miscavige lives like the rich and famous of Hollywood, enjoying private jets, elaborate birthday gifts like motorcycles with $70,000 price tags. Miscavige had 5 private stewards and 2 chefs at his disposal, and a large car collection including a Saleen Mustang and 6 motorcycles. According to Scientology spokesman Tommy Davis, these gifts are tokens of love and respect for Mr. Miscavige. But the church refuses to disclose how much money Miscavige earns, and it isn't required to do so either. Number 14. The FBI investigated them for human trafficking. Since December 2009, the FBI began investigating the Church of Scientology with the hope of uncovering human rights violations that had been reported to them by ex-members. If emotional, spiritual, or psychological pressure failed to work on wayward members, then sometimes physical force is used to bring them back. The first focus was on Goldbase and claims of human trafficking taking place. Defectors who tried to leave told of the Goldbase security staff using blow drills to find escapees and bring them back. These are effective, and hundreds of Sea Org members have been caught and brought back this way. When a member has been disobedient in this way, they are sent for re-indoctrination at a camp known as the Rehabilitation Project Force. Here, members are forced to do hard labor and are given very little to eat. Number 15. It all started with acting lessons. If you think handing out lanyards and t-shirts is a good marketing ploy, then you've got nothing on the Scientologist. In 1955, the equivalent of a Scientologist's newsletter urged Scientologists to cultivate celebrities, kind of like a grow-your-own herb garden, we guess. The idea would be that having some famous names attached to the church would bring credibility to Dianetics and Scientology as a whole. If there's one thing L. Ron Hubbard knew better than science fiction, it's the smoke and mirrors of marketing. They appointed Milton Katselas, a resident acting coach. He taught hundreds of Hollywood hopefuls, including Michelle Pfeiffer, George Clooney, and Ted Danson. Katselas received 10% commission from any of the money donated to Scientology by any of the celebrities he coached. Kinda like a backwards tithing system. Now, we know you have your own views of this religion, but in the words of L. Ron Hubbard, nothing in Scientology is true for you unless you have observed it and it is true according to your observation. Yeah, sounds about right. What's the craziest cult you've ever heard of, A-Luxers? And which group should we uncover next? Let us know in the comments. Now, since you stuck with us until the end, we do have a bonus for you. So, what the hell does the annoying L in L. Ron Hubbard stand for, Xenu, dammit? It stands for Lafayette. Yep, Lafayette Ronald Hubbard. So don't say I don't do anything around here, okay? Thank you for spending some time with us, A-Luxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question on our website, alux.com. Thank you for being an A-Luxer, and we'll see you back tomorrow.